Guys, in this video, we take on the overwhelming project of restoring, rebuilding, and improving upon my father's legendary Corvette. We discovered some major problems with the cylinder heads, and we have to address that as well as the intake manifold. But we are transplanting a late model PCM into a earlier small block Chevy engine. I've never done this before. I've done some LT stuff with the LS processors, but now we're talking an ultra late LS processor with a 6-speed automatic, and hopefully we can get the tap shift working. Now this car has a very rich history. This car has been in a bunch of different magazines. It's won the first 2 Vet Viper shootouts and got runner-up in the 3rd one. Now this car had run 10s naturally aspirated at full weight back in the 90s. We're talking like 95, 6, 7. Amazing accomplishments for what it was at the time. Had some really cutting edge technology with what it is. It's so easy to do that nowadays, but back then with the limited stuff of what my father did, absolutely amazing. Now guys, my father died when I was 18 years old, which was right in 2000. And ever since then, I had been tuning right after my father passed away to help support my family. So this car does mean a lot to me. I hope you guys really enjoy this video. All right guys, I wanted to show you one of my favorite mods that I've done to this truck as long as I've had it.
Is that pulling the old man topper off the thing?
No, it's not pulling the topper off of it.
Better.
It does look a ton better, and I will say she looks pretty sweet. But what it is down here, man. So guys, this is the deck system right here. Absolutely love this thing. Got some drawers. These things will hold 200 pounds. Now it did rain a whole bunch in here, and they haven't got any water in there, so I'm pretty happy.
Through a hurricane, keep your food dry.
You know, you could really keep just about anything in here. There's a ton of space.
Yeah. Made in the United States.
Hell yeah, made in the United States. Dude, just has a little beer opener right there.
To measure your fish. Oh,
And
by the time you get them back to your truck, it might be too late.
This actually comes with a 3-year warranty. I saw this before on a buddy's truck, and I was like, dude, I have to get one of these.
What's the weight limit on this thing?
So they say you can still put over 2,000 pounds on top of here.
So with this thing closed, you can't get in those drawers.
If the tailgate's locked, you're totally good and secure. And furthermore, you can actually purchase additionally some more locks for those right there. But I mean, the great thing about this is that we can keep all our tools and everything organized, safe, and the go-kart will still fit. Actually, it'll fit a heck of a lot better right now, actually.
So looking at this, how many times I've like looked up a decimal point to see what fraction it is?
Yeah, I mean, that's a nice
and
little
then
piece
gone
right
to the
there.
hardware store and be like, oh, what size do I need? And you can just set the pipe right there.
Well, if you need to measure your fish, you're out doing some stuff, you know, cutting some things up. You got a 34-inch ruler right there, ready to rock. Now, Deck makes a whole bunch of other organizational accessories like toolboxes, bags, cargo tie downs, other handy items for a bunch more efficiency yet. To get your Deck system, check out deck.com/Fasterproms. That is our promo code. Again, that's deck.com/Fasterproms, and they give you free shipping. Click the link below. I'm absolutely in love with this thing, and I can't wait to put this thing to work. What a ridiculous mess. And I'll be honest, it's a little bit intimidating. It's gonna be a lot to get everything back together, but I think we got the right guy. This is Matt. He's helped us out on a couple of other projects. Actually, I think it was the Crown Vic.
Yeah.
So you've done a lot of stuff with Cletus next door. Even furthermore, you used to work right down the street, and this is your company right there. I love it. Sparks and Shorts. It's fantastic as an electrical wire. You know.
It's all the wrong things.
Yeah. Matt's been going through this for a little while here. Just take us through what you're going through right now.
Well, obviously we got ourselves like a little project here, and you guys called me up and told me the overview of it, and I kind of grew up in the passenger seat of like a white-on-white
nice.
C4, so I was like, you know, E38, small blocks, mix them together, what can go wrong? So
countless things.
so no, I did a little bit of research, found some schematics, figured out that you know, the vintage of this GM used to do like piggyback sensors, so you'd have like a coolant sensor for the engine that ran the fan, then you had like another coolant sensor that didn't even match the other one to run the gauges. You know, oil pressure just goes straight to gauges. The engine didn't really care. There was goofy things like an oil pressure switch, so like on the side of the small block, if it wasn't making oil pressure, like wouldn't run the fuel pump. So I'm sure that created nightmares for technicians back in the days due to faulty pressure switches. But we're just establishing a baseline, kind of pinning out those gauge wires, because, you know, obviously I just showed up and there's been a little bit of work going on beforehand, so I got to kind of decode what was going on. But so far, just a little bit of time I've been here, we've actually managed to dig up some of the wires, and things are going good. So we're kind of reconstructing some harnesses.
Yeah, let's take a look at some of this stuff that, like, I mean, I just wanted to look at some of the schematic stuff of what you had listed, and There's a bit there.
That's a little bit, but I like to get things functional. I'm a sucker for factory gauges, especially when they're as retro and, you know, digi analog is a C4. I mean, they don't get much cooler than that.
So one of the cool things is actually you speak CAN.
Ah, yes.
Which is really cool. So for our 370Z project, and one of the things that Stephen Dork was able to do was be able to integrate all of the factory stuff from a Nissan to speak to the GM stuff. Now, this doesn't really have CAN.
Well we're adding some CAN to it, but we don't really have the ability to take like super advantage of it because she's not CAN bus.
Yeah.
We might be able to manipulate some stuff depending on what we set up the E38 to be configured as a Camaro or as a truck or anything. So we might be able to do some CAN bus manipulation, get like things like the air conditioning to work and perhaps like the tap shift.
That was definitely what I was going to mention. I was like at the tip of my tongue. I was too excited to mention it. Yeah, but
yep.
That would be so sick. So tap shift that we could integrate through the factory, well, now current factory PCM would be so sick.
Yeah, people like that. So we'll try to take advantage of that.
Heck yeah.
We're gonna try this DEFCON. We did a little bit of research, and that's what some people say to use. Some people have other opinions. You're gonna find everything out there.
Picture on the box looks good.
Yeah, it's aluminum.
It's aluminum.
All right, you can see on these runners that the floor of the runner's been built up, where it's been cut out too low, and we're gonna try to recreate that. These all feel solid on all these three and the ones on the other head, but that one was not solid, and I think wasn't most of it gone.
Yeah, we were talking about it the other day. I said, man, it's probably just floating around in a Flowmaster somewhere. So Laz is gonna try to build this puppy back up with this aluminum putty here. Extremely toxic, so we got you some rubber gloves. Come to find out, it's on the intake also. Oh, it only goes halfway down. I didn't notice that.
Yeah. But this one runner is looking a little bit shabby there. Do the honors.
Test out the...
It looks pliable.
It does. It is.
I wonder if that was DEFCON too. Might have to send it out for a chemical analysis. Taste it, you know you want to.
I figured it would be hard, like brittle, but
It's engine jerky. Don't cut yourself, that is a knife.
Yeah. You call it a knife?
It's seen better days, but it is.
Yeah, so it's nice and clean. Yeah, they just did like a little rough sand underneath it there.
So another thing we noticed last time this motor was worked on, these are the old gaskets that were on it, and this was a, let's see, 1205 Felpro. It's got the number on here somewhere. Lining it up to the ports, it wasn't quite a port match. So I did find out that I can go to a 1206 and get a lot closer on the port match on both the intake and the head. So there's no overlapping little flange in there that we got to cut out. This one wasn't even cut out, so there's
As
power
Jeremy
on the table.
would say, low-hanging fruit.
We're optimizing.
Yeah, that one wasn't even matched really.
Yeah.
We did it after the fact just to try to get an idea of what gasket we were gonna get, but I guess you just got off the phone and got that figured out.
Yep. It's on its way.
So why do we think that we had epoxy right here?
I don't know, but look at the way this is cut. They definitely, I wonder if they were on a Bridgeport and slipped.
This doesn't look like it was cut on a Bridgeport. You can see it's like hand.
I don't know. But we're gonna build it back up to match the other set of runners next to it.
Actually,
then,
this corner looks like stock right here.
Maybe the
Or
port,
it's just-
maybe the port was just moved over. Because if you go bigger on the heads, you can only go out.
Yeah. Oh. And then they had to bring that in just a little bit for the gasket to do its job. This one doesn't have any though.
Yeah, stuff is a little bit more difficult back
And
then,
then
it
this
seems
other
like.
side of the intake, I hope this light isn't messing it up for you guys, but two of the runners have epoxy.
Now this one's very similar to this one, and then this one's more like that, but nothing in it hardly.
Yeah.
It's very, very little.
It's holding up. Besides that one, I mean, these are holding up pretty good.
Same as the cylinder heads.
Yeah. There's always one bad apple.
Hold on. Is that the one that goes to that runner?
Oh, I guess we don't really know. Right.
Yeah, no, this is the
Oh, that's the front.
That's the front, this is the front. So no, that's not the one that goes to that runner. I'm gonna see if I can make a little time lapse happen here of learning how to mix epoxy, and if I die in the time lapse from chemical exposure,
Just holler, I'll be in the porting room.
okay, sounds good.
With my earphones on.
Okay, so it looks like a 4-to-1 ratio on the putty to the hardener. One video I watched was 1-to-1, and that's not going to happen. So I leveled out the product for the head, so we got pretty level fill area to the actual support here for the outside, and let's just give it a whirl. Yeah. That's good. But I got the C4 head outside. I'm going to go and do a little bit of porting on it to keep the toxic, dusty nastiness that they say not to breathe or get on you away from George in the porting room. I've got it set up to do outside. Little workbench out here. Gonna have the fan blowing it away, hopefully. Probably get sunburnt from that up there. And I'm gonna get suited up with a respirator and some gloves and some kind of sleeves. Try to keep this stuff off of me and down the hallway here. But just got a little bit of smoothing to do on these guys. A lot to cut out in here. That's the one that we actually refilled. It's been sitting on the shelf for a couple weeks now, so it's nice and cured. Alright, at this point, got a rough cut where this one's matching really similar to the old ports. Might still be a little bit low in there. I gotta decide if I want to add some more material. But I think I can switch from the single cut carbide, which is made for non-ferrous material, so it doesn't get built up with debris like a double cut would. And I'm gonna switch to a sanding cartridge roll and go in there and smooth out the rest of the divots and bumps and everything. But there's only so much you can do with the Luma cut. So we'll roll on. It's hot out here. Not being dressed in all this doesn't help. We're down to a real similar port now. We aren't flowing these, so they're not going to be 110%, but they're going to be really close. There might be a couple of little spots I want to dab some in. And went through everything. I saw some actually new spots that look like they might need a little bit of love. We gotta get this together and figure out if we're gonna just lap the valves or send it off to the machine shop and get them ran through and get that motor back together, because we need to wire that thing up. I just remembered I gotta go grab the intake and do one runner on it. Thought I was almost done. Got a little bit of time cleared up, and I'm gonna start assembling the heads for Jeremy's dad's C4. And when we did this, George had organized everything for the heads for me to be able to re-epoxy them and port them out. Don't have to take any measurements or anything and get it reassembled the way it came apart, so then everything's gonna be just like it was before. Went through, put everything on that was numbered onto here. Noticed that on this cylinder, I only had one of the thicker shims, which I was just measuring out from the other side, 55 thousandths. All the rest of the cylinders, I'm running one thick and one thin, so it's a 55 and a 20, or 15, sorry, 55 and 15. I want to measure the install height, make sure there's nothing funky with the install height on this valve, and might have got shifted around from parts being moved around the shop. I mean, this stuff sits stagnant. It has to be moved from time to time and stuff gets lost. So it's definitely worth double checking. I did say that I was just gonna put it back together the way it was, but I saw a red flag, so that's something to look into. We got 1918 and 1930 on measuring it with the tool. I'm gonna go and clean the other head up the rest of the way. I'm gonna measure all of them on the other head and just see where everything falls. Might have to pull the springs back off this one and measure them thoroughly. Finished up yesterday on setting the springs up on the cylinder heads. I got one that was a little bit looser than the rest of them, but by the time you add a 15,000 shim in there, it was tighter than all the rest, so I don't want to get into coil bind, so I went ahead and left that one looser. Cleaned up, or I just cleaned up the lifters that were sitting on the tray that kind of got a little bit dusty over time. Wiped everything down. I'm going to pre-oil them, get all the needle bearings, set it back up on oil. Kind of dusted off the rockers and the push rods. I got to clean the other side still. And then on the block, I started going through and I'm actually just cleaning out all the cylinders really good, oiling everything, just running light oil through the lifter bores, getting that all cleaned up. And I'm going to go through with this little guy, clean up all the head bolt holes. You can see they have a little bit of gunk in them. Get them brushed out with a brush and then blow them out, or clean the deck again, get everything ready for the head gaskets. Then it'll be time to put the heads back on this thing and drop the lifters in it. Alright, we got it cleaned up, got bolt holes chased, any dust or anything I could get to is cleaned off of there, lubed up, got the valve train cleaned up, still in the same order, lifters, just running some oil over the needle bearings on the lifters. Just kind of getting the oil up in these bearings, letting them spin in there. I'm not really worried about a soak on them. I did do we got the Felpro Marine head gaskets, and I wanted to copper coat those. It's bright out there, but just got those curing, letting the solvents evaporate in the copper coat, and then we'll start putting stuff together. I'm gonna get the head bolts out now, get those cleaned up while those are drying a little bit, and then we'll get it together. So I said I was gonna clean up the head bolts. I thought they were kind of partially cleaned already. I don't know if you can see all this white dandruff looking stuff all over me. I've been on the wire wheel trying to get this gunk off of here. So this is a thread sealer. School guys know that on the small blocks, all the head bolts go into the cooling system. So you have to run a thread sealer on all the bolts instead, just like an ARP moly lube that comes off nice and easy. So if anybody's got any points on how, or pointers on how to get rid of this thread sealer off the bolts better than a wire wheel just going everywhere, that'd be kind of cool. But I'll be done with it by then, but it'd be good to know. The danger wheel, OSHA approved guards. So that's step one of getting them clean. Now we'll actually go to solvent, see if we can get the rest of the stuff off. Hopefully not have to get on the wire wheel again. Got ahead of myself. So we got put the copper coat gaskets, they've been cured, they're on. Got these guys pretty much cleaned up. Went ahead, set one head on, just put the other head on. Get that in there just to hold it in place for right now. It's coming back to life. Never want to have a head fall off because you don't have a bolt sitting on it. That'd be horrible. Ran into something I thought I noticed, but I went ahead and put it together the normal way anyways. These bolts in between these two springs, because the base of the springs is so large, the lip on the outside edge of the bolt has actually been shaved down compared to these. And I remember seeing two, I was like, these kind of look shaved, but I wasn't 100% sure. But the ones that kind of look shaved, I have a feeling, yeah, I'm not sure yet, because these are shorter bolts that go in these corners. Maybe they are a bit going in there. All the bolts are sealed. They're just not even snugged up. They're just ran down. I'm gonna go ahead and find the torque sequence for the head bolts and the specs. I'm like 99% sure it's 70 foot-pounds on small block Chevys, but I just want to double check that with the Manly site. Alright, so I was torquing the head bolts down and I was thinking, man, I concentrated a lot on getting the sealant on the thread so I didn't have any coolant leaks there. I'm like, man, there's no lubrication between the head of the bolts and the head. And then thinking about it, everything else LS that I've done has had washers on it. So I actually did my call in. I talked to Gil at the machine shop and he said that these definitely should have washers on them. And then it's going to be the same sealant between the washer and the head, but anytime that you have aluminum cylinder heads, you need to have that washer in there. If not, the head of the bolt is going to, you know, mar the cylinder head every time you tighten it. So now I'm going to be on the search and find some hardened washers so they'll hold the torque, and then we'll continue on. Time for head bolts to come back out. Ran over to gearhead, Save the day like always. Got some Mr. Gasket washers. We're gonna pull the head bolts back out, run some more of the ARP thread sealant under the head of the bolt and the washer, just like normal. I don't know why I didn't do it ahead of time. And we'll go back in with them.
Well, fellas, we covered a lot of ground in this episode. This has been an incredibly tedious rebuild here. There's just so many different things that we have to touch on. So Laz has got excellent progress right here. Of course, we always want a little bit more progress. That's just the way that this goes. We know that a lot of you guys have been asking, hey, when are we going to get back to this build? And we've really wanted to. We've got a lot of stuff done. We got a lot of cars gone. But hey, we are back to this, and we're going to try and knock this out. Get this thing back up and running, hopefully in the next couple weeks. But where are we at next? What's the next stages?
Well, I left off on finding the torque specs and everything for the Jessel rocker system. And now got that on. We gotta start cleaning some more parts. I've been sitting around and we got some little friend spider webs hanging out in here.
Everywhere.
So just cleaning everything up here, getting this stuff back on the motor. Then we're gonna have to work on the front accessory drive and see what it's gonna take to get everything lined back up and clear that front cover that I've never had before.
Yeah, so with our EFI connection cover, it's a little, changed our Rubik's Cube a little bit.
There was a small spacer on the balancer to push it out. We got the pulleys to go on that, and then this already had spacers because of the Jessel belt drive that it had. So I'm thinking that actually might be enough space for it, but we'll see.
They cover this Jessel valve train right here. They have these spacers, and my dad was always a little sneaky fella, so he liked to run the factory valve covers, and we're gonna stick those back on there, just pay homage to.
Are we gonna put the coil packs on these?
Hell to the no. Nope, not doing that. And again, guys, this is a mini ram. This is not an LT intake manifold. A lot of people see that and they say that, but hey,
prove it.
There you go. That's how, because it had a distributor hole right there.
Something else. We got to figure out the distributor drive for this, for the oil pump drive.
Definitely one of those things that we got to knock out. So we're cleaning these next things. These will be coming up very shortly. And actually, another question that we had for you was, Laz and I had done a vehicle that had an LSA supercharger setup in a 93, and we used, what was it, a Pontiac G8?
No, it was a Malibu.
Yeah. It was a Malibu shifter. So we had the little, positive negative so that we could shift through that.
Kind of tall and goofy.
Yeah, it was not pretty. So we would definitely want to do something better than that, but I'm sure you got a better solution. So we're looking forward to that in the future. So many bridges to cross as we get there. So it's gonna be fun.
I saw somebody with a Jeep that ran like one of the new style Corvette shifters.
That'd be nice.
The automatic ones.
Yeah.
Well, stay tuned, guys. We got a whole bunch of stuff coming up. So thank you guys so very much for watching. God bless you. We'll see you next episode.
Excuse me, that's bigger than you. Guys, don't be mean.